several different answers. It literally depends on who you're asking. If I were to ask, what is love's partner in the scope of duality? What would it be? Most would say hate. However, where is the balance? Does that mean we must have some form of hate for each other to balance the scale? Certainly not. We have been taught to believe that love and hate balance each other out, yet they don't. One will always outweigh the other. There is no difference between light and dark, good and evil, or love and hate. It is impossible for these things to balance each other out. Think about it for a moment. Two positives will always give you a positive. Two negatives will always give you a positive. Yet, a negative and a positive will always give you a negative. Is this balance? Darkness always succumbs to light. The only way to have more darkness is to dim the light or turn it off completely. Where is the balance? We have been fed the notion that in order to have good or understand good, evil must be present. This in turn has us believing that we cannot have love without some form of hate to balance the scale. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. King is in the building. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. It's another time at the King's Court. I can't wait because I'm going to enjoy this topic today. But before we go into it, I definitely, I need you to go and like and share the Frequency CO. The Frequency CO. Go ahead, like, share, and follow it right now. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you share it right now. For all those listening over the airways or that are at work, I need you to go ahead, go into your office, shut the door. Let's get ready to get into this conversation. If you don't have an office and you're at the cubicle, put your headset on so we can go ahead and get into it. All right. And if you're at home, you already know what it is. Put something on that them kids can watch for the next 2 hours, so that we can get into this conversation. All right. I gotta definitely give a shout out to the Frequency as always for letting me bring the kingdom over here so that we can actually be able to have these types of conversations. It has been great. We're a month in. Man. Can't believe it. It's been an exact month. It's been an exact month. And I've been having fun the entire way, but we definitely about to get into it. And look, we got to go pay some bills. I'm letting y'all know now. The topic of today is why she won't submit. And we're going to be talking about this all week because we can't cover this in one conversation. So we about to get into things. Go ahead, get your coffee, and tell all your friends, call everybody, like, look, he about to talk about submission. We need to hear what it is that he going to say and what the king is about to say. All right, we about to go pay these bills, though. The king has spoken. We'll be back. And we are back. Look, it's been a great month being able to do this with y'all, and I'm looking forward to being able to build. But before I move further and we get into today's topic, I need y'all to go like, share, and follow the Frequency. If you're watching online, make sure you go ahead and share it. I need as many people as possible to get up here and hear exactly what it is that we're going to be talking about today. We're about to change some narratives. So, the topic of today is why she won't submit. I'm going to tell you now, we're going to be talking about this on this show. We're going to be talking about it on the next show as well. And then the little live that we do on the weekends, panel-wise, we're going to be talking about it then. One of the first things, ladies, that I need y'all to know and understand is this. Respect for us is love. That is literally how we see love. And even though you have some men that's out there that's not willing to say it, but your ability to submit directly deals with how we view your respect for us. Submission. It's an ugly word nowadays. It's an ugly word. Nobody likes hearing it, and most men are afraid to say something about it. Seriously. When we say something about submitting, it's almost like calling y'all out of your name. You stand up and you stand up immediately. And we understand why. And for those of y'all that don't understand why, that is the reason why we're having this conversation today. And I'm going to let y'all know now, I'm going to be talking to the men. Even though I'm going to address y'all ladies every now and then. Be talking to the men. All right. The other thing, ladies, that I need y'all to know and understand in reference to submission. I need y'all to get out of the mind frame of this show and prove. Why do I say that? The moment that you give us your hand in marriage, it should have already been proven. As a man, and specifically as a husband, I shouldn't have to spend the rest of my life trying to show and prove whether I'm worthy of your submission.
That part.
I need y'all to understand that. Because I see it, and I see it a lot. I even see men saying it, and I'm going to tell you now, it pisses me off when I hear men say it. What are you giving her to submit to? Obviously, I gave you something because you agreed to be my wife. You agreed to take my last name. So, yeah, when we courting, dating, and things of that particular nature, okay, show and prove. I understand that. But what does that mean for you? That means you have to look past the love that you might have for us prior to that time, and that feeling of being in love, and start dealing with a little bit of logic. You got to ask yourself, what is his goal? What is his dream? Does my goal and my dreams align with what it is that he wants to do in life? Do I trust him enough to be able to lead and guide me in this area? These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself. Do I trust him to be my provider? Do I trust him to protect me? These are the things that literally you have to ask yourself prior to saying I do. Because I get it. I know, you all in love. And yes, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. All of this and that and all this lovey-dovey, Prince Charming, everything. But there's a lot that you have to ask yourself. Yes, I love him, but do I like him? Do I like the individual that I'm about to spend the rest of my life with? Because a lot of us are lovers, but we are not friends at all. And that is a very, very, very big piece. There is nothing wrong and there is nothing evil about submission. Contrary to popular belief, submission comes natural, not just to women, but to us men as well. It is literally a part of nature. We watch it on a daily basis. When it rains outside, that is the sun submitting to the clouds that's bringing the rain. And it's with purpose, because too much sunlight will cause a drought. The sun has to submit to the rain for a purpose, and vice versa. That rain eventually has to submit to the sun. Why? Because too much rain will cause a flood. But what has happened is that fear, and this is the first thing that men, I need y'all to understand. The root of this, the root of why she will not to submit to us, is fear. It's fear. And we're going to get into it. But I got to finish addressing my ladies first before I start dealing with us men. And I get it and I understand it. There should be a clear path that you can see and that you can understand. But it's not always going to be that way. There are going to be times when you're going to be asked to do things that you might not particularly understand. But then it boils down to, do I trust you? Do I trust your judgment? Because quite frankly, if you're with someone that you're not willing to submit to, then you need to look at your judgment. Hate to say it, but it's the truth. You have to look past the Prince Charming and in love phase so that you can see what it is that he's doing. If you are dating him and you go to his house and he's literally has no bed, that is a sign. Because if he can't provide a bed for himself, how can he provide one for you? Just doesn't make sense. And yes, I know and I understand about potential. There's a lot of us out there that have potential. We just don't particularly have the means. But what you have to look at, ladies, is what is he doing with that potential? Is he working towards anything? You have some men out here that go hard. I know jokers that literally, to get their business off the ground, food trucks, lived in their food truck. Literally. So that they wouldn't have to pay any bills, so that they can invest 100% back into themselves. And them jokers are doing it right now. But could you imagine going on a date with this gentleman and he picks you up in his food truck? I can only imagine what it is that you would say. He picked you up on a date in a food truck. But that is that man that has potential. And I can only imagine what he would have thought of you if you would have got in that food truck and went ahead on that date. And quite frankly, all it is a simple question. Why are you driving around in a food truck? And that would open the door for him to explain to you everything it is that he was literally working on. And if you can't respect that, then hey, have him drop you off.
That's not a business.
I'm telling you, you have to look at the signs. You have to look at the signs, because after you say I do, show and prove goes out the window. Of course, we can have some health checks. You can have some health checks. Make sure everything is on par. But once you said I do, yeah, that show and prove goes out of the window. And if you're one of those ladies out there right now that is married and that is refusing to submit to your husband because he is not proven according to you that he is worthy of being submitted to, you need to check your radar. You need to check yourself. Go back and see what red flags that were there, and then figure out what you need to do. One thing that you won't hear the king say is you need to leave him, or he need to leave her. You're not going to hear that. I'm probably the wrong person to be saying it, but I don't believe in divorce. I've been divorced a couple of times, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. So you're not going to hear me say anything of that particular nature. You need to deal with you. Because quite frankly, it could be that your inability to submit is the problem.
Or maybe you got married too early.
This is
Some
true.
people get married after a month.
Yep.
Don't even know the person.
Yep, but then again, my parents got married after 3 days, lasted 21 years before it was over with. So
that was a time where you could fall in love.
Yeah.
And stay in love.
Yep.
And they're from a time where both parents didn't have to work.
Yeah, this is true. No, I think, and this is nothing against love and marriage because it's highly important, but I think we put too much emphasis on love when it comes down to marriage. Period. Because there used to be a day where you didn't even know who your significant other was going to be. And you had to build and grow to that love status. Oh man, what's up everybody that's in the chat right now? I see y'all. I haven't had an opportunity to sit back and see what's being said, but y'all keep the conversation going. Y'all keep it going. So fellas, one more time ladies before I go to the fellas. Show and prove stops when you give your hand in marriage. So make sure you are choosing wisely. Because the only thing that you're going to do is cause a lot of confusion and a lot of hurt. And if you missed it, I'm going to say it one more time. Respect is love for us. And your ability to be able to submit has a lot to do with how we view your respect for us. So you want to talk about love languages?
Yeah, why do we have to continue to court our woman once we got them? I go through this on a regular. I got you. Why do I got to keep? Because essentially that's income that could be provided for our family, trying to buy flowers or candies or do special things.
We have all these things out here that takes away from it. Or not.
Always doubting that love. Women love to doubt a man's love because he's not buying flowers, candy, all that stuff still. Yep.
And fellas, that's on us to a certain degree. Don't do something that you're not willing to sustain. Period. Now, granted, shouldn't have to go out every weekend. Shouldn't have to go out every weekend. But every now and then, yeah, we need to give them a different point of view.
Once a month, a good date night.
Yeah. Something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. All right, but I got to transition over to us men. All right. Gotta transition to us men. And if you're just joining us right now, the topic of discussion is why she won't submit. Why she won't submit.
Maybe she submitted to someone else.
This is true. And most times she is.
That's a scary thought for some men.
Yeah. But I need y'all to understand. This is the way I'm gonna paint the picture of submission, right? I want you to think of dancing. And no, I'm not talking about twerking and jumping on behind and
No, you said
no.
dancing.
I'm talking about dancing, real dancing. I'm talking about some
The
salsa,
leads.
some merengue, or we out here stepping. We out here stepping for all my Chicago steppers, where it requires the man to lead, right? And the thing about it is, if you look at the dance, right, you don't see him forcefully moving her in the direction that he wants her to go. And that's the first thing that we have to look at as men in reference to why she don't submit. You walking around the house beating on your chest talking about you're the man is not helping. It's not helping at all. And quite frankly, if you have to say that you're the man, 10 times out of 10, you're not.
She got the pants off.
Seriously. If you're walking around the house beating on your chest talking about I'm the man, you're not. We just going to put that out there. No, it's not. We just going to put it out there. You're not. But if you understand the flow of dancing, there are subtle things that he'll do with his hands to let her know which direction he wants her to go. But what is happening is with our dance, with our women, is that, one, we don't know the subtleties of how to guide her into that direction. And we're making it look bad because we're trying to force it. And what's happening is they're pushing back. I need you to understand that in this particular area, our track record is not all that great. Because, of course, like I said, you got those men that's running around, beating on their chest, and talking about they're the man. And then you have some that are submitting, but they're doing it out of fear. I've never seen a man and a woman dancing on the floor and the woman looks like she's afraid. So if you're one of the men that has a submissive wife, but it is done out of fear, you need to correct that. Because there's a difference between respect and fear. She can fear you and still not have no respect for you. At all. But we have to know and understand that this track record that I'm talking about is not that great. Some of it is our fault. A lot of it is not. Why do I say that? Because a good portion of the women that we're trying to get to submit to us came up in that time where grandma was submissive. Some of the mamas was submissive. And they didn't particularly like what it was that they saw at all. Granddad was the first one to eat. And depending on what household you grew up in, you didn't even get to touch your plate before Granddad was finished eating his food. They didn't like that. They didn't like that. You hear the joke and them joking about the big piece of chicken? That's real. Some of them ladies wanted that big piece of chicken. But Granddaddy or Daddy got it. And they didn't like it. And most times, a lot of that submission that they saw was done out of fear. They watched grandma. They watched mama. And they didn't like what it was that they saw. At all. They watched mama.
Tell me what to do.
Yep, that's where it started out at. It started out seeing grandma and mama being mistreated, and it was a toxic form of what submission was. Or they went to church or wherever. It was talked about submission, and they gave their point of view. And it was basically whatever he says goes. And you bet not question it. At all. But like I said, when you're sitting back and you're watching a person dance, I mean really dance, you see the subtleties. They're flowing. And it is beautiful. And we have lost that beauty. But we got to get ready to go pay some bills. All right? We're going to take a little break. But we're going to be back. All right? I want y'all to sit back and I want y'all to think about this. Start thinking about it. Get that visual dance. I don't care what type of dance it is outside, as long as it's a partner dance that doesn't require twerking. Okay? But I want you to visualize it. If you need to go to YouTube and look at it, I want you to look at it. All right? So, we'll be right back. The King has spoken. And we are back. The King's Court is officially back in session. I got the queen of the building sitting next to me. Ladies, we got somebody to speak for y'all now, especially on this topic. Again, I gotta say thank you to the queen as well as to the frequency, just for allowing me to be able to come and bring this court to the frequency so that I can be able to speak to everyone. Well, I definitely appreciate it. But we've been talking about the topic of why she won't submit. I had to change the narrative. And I don't think that the ladies are going to like this narrative that I'm changing.
Okay.
But the whole, you have to prove in order for her to submit. Especially after she said I do.
So where are we going to have conflict? We definitely are into proving. Showing and proving. I'm trying to, where are we going to be mad at, King?
What I'm saying is this, right? Mm-hmm. That after you have said I do,
okay,
you've taken my name,
mm-hmm.
At that particular point, the show and prove shouldn't be there anymore. The time should be taken in the midst of dating and
so
courting.
You're saying the showing and proving and all the you love me and I gotta fight for all that extra that comes along with it is done in the beginning. It should be done by the time
should be done
you come into my home, or I come, we decide what we're gonna do. You start playing your role as a woman and let me start playing mine. That's what you're saying. You would naturally like to see things go. But because we're so toxic as humans, we got problems, we got our own baggage we're bringing into these relationships. That's not how it goes.
Yep.
Okay, so ideally. Okay, we're still aboard.
Well, all right then.
We're still aboard. We still saying okay. We still feel.
But and basically what I was saying prior to to you coming on is that you have to look past the in love phase. Mm-hmm. Look past the Prince Charming. You have to start looking at the signs. You have to start looking at the signs.
The problem with it's not a problem. The reality is while you all are in the process of healing, that means we as women also have to heal. You can't look at the signs if you're not looking at yourself.
Exactly.
Because the signs come from with you first. And if anyone as a woman, and I can say this for myself, the signs come from us first. when you go in and you're looking for a spouse or a male in your household, it starts by you looking for a boyfriend or a husband. That's how it starts, where your mindset is.
Yep.
If you out here, I'm just going to the club, popping it, I don't care who's... There it is. So again, it starts with us, and a lot of women aren't ready to do that, because then they have to look at themselves and say, I guess I might be wrong spending $100 and something on my nails, on my feet, on my bundle, and my house is a wreck, and my kids aren't got, don't have shoes. There's a lot of things within that we would have to look at ourselves and say, I'm not right either.
And that's the hardest thing to do, is look at yourself. It's so easy to look at somebody else.
Yeah, because we got it all written down for y'all. I can close my eyes and tell me what's wrong with your hair. And y'all don't do this, and we don't hurt y'all act up with it. I mean, that's easy. But for a woman, we're like, wait, hold on. What does that say again? A woman doesn't do what? So. And
the thing about it is that it comes natural to not just women, but to us men as well.
What does?
Submission. It comes natural. We hard way to look at or whatnot, but it does. We submit to so many things and don't even realize it.
What I can say was, it was acceptable to be not submissive, but okay, maybe submissive. Yeah, that word made my heart race a little bit, like submissive, like
I was just talking about that earlier. Okay. I was just talking about that earlier.
Okay, all right, so I missed that part. and that's why. See what's wrong? I wasn't listening. I would have been helped and saved by now. But I'm not. So we got to go back through a little bit. But in reality, when you're saying, be obedient or be in your natural, fitter, or be in your natural disposition, because it is natural for a woman to go in and take care of a home or take care of multiple people or be compassionate. Those things are natural for a woman. And if you look back in 1970s, 1960s and all of that, it was acceptable to do that. A woman was glorified. Oh, you stay at home? Okay. Well, that means you got a good wife if you come in and the man's eating every night at a certain time, and the children are structured around the home. She was running a good home.
Yeah.
We were looking at that like that back then. But we have been so bamboozled. The brown and black communities, so bamboozled by the agenda that we have forgotten our own selves and our natural dispositions with each other as man and woman of color. And I'm not saying of this, I'm just saying of any type of ethnicity you're bringing, a culture you're bringing, whatever you are, Chinese, black, Mexican, I don't care what it is. At this point in the game, hold on to it and teach your children it. Because that's part of that's part of the big issue too. We're losing our culture. We're losing who we are as people. Yep. So again, it's not natural for Mexicans and African Americans and usually people of color to have 1.2 kids. That's just not normal for us. We don't cut off kids. And what is that? Did you get like half a kid? 1.2? Like, I don't even understand the numbers, but I'm just saying again. Everything is how the woman goes into thinking about it. If you're out here dating a woman that's just going to the clubs every Friday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday, and you think you're getting a mother out of her, or you're trying to groom her to be a mother, knock it off. Knock it off. That's not where she's come from. Not saying she won't change or she might get better, but you're going to have to stand up and show her something better. Because you showing her the same thing probably her the family showed her, or what she's seen before to become what she is now.
Yeah. So one of the things that I talked about as well as far as us men, right? What we have a tendency to do is we want to beat on our chest and walk around our house talking about we the man. We had to eliminate that. If you got to sit back and say you the man, 10 times out of 10, you're not. You're not. And what has happened is, in those times that you were talking about or whatnot, our generation and generations after us saw their grandparents and their mothers being submissive, and they didn't like what it was that they saw. Because
the men were in a state where they could have changed the directive or the story, and you all didn't. I think that the 60s, the 70s were like an ample time for men to be able to have stood up. African American, Hispanic men, all men, and I'm saying Hispanic men should have stood up, and we all should have taken back control of our families from the drug infestations of crack, from the prostitutions, and how they flooded our communities. If we could still get control and say woulda, coulda, shoulda. So because the men weren't strong enough then, because of the breakdown of the communities economically, socially, physically, mentally. We know this, and it's included in the book. You're talking about these things as well.
And on top of that, that frustration that we had from that particular point in time, we took it out on y'all. So the submission that they saw was out of fear and not respect. And I'm gonna say it again. That way you hear it. Ladies, respect is love for us.
Oh, okay.
Respect is love.
Respect is the way you show love towards a man.
Towards a man. And your ability to submit to us is directly tied to how we see respect.
Okay, I think we just hit a real big pinnacle in a situation here. Hold up. I don't think anybody understood what we just did here. Did you just hear what he said, ladies? This is the most number one thing I hear from my friends. And how can he love me more? How can I make him love me? How can he love me? I want him to love me. Okay, I'm sorry, King. A man loving me just is not my end all be all, but that's just where I am in life. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that's needed. We got to have it for our families. Exactly. And every woman goes through different stages. I'm just at that point where I'm going to have to do a lot of healing to get to the point where it's like, okay, for a man and woman, there's a lot of things. But she asks all the time, how can I get his love? And you just said it, respect him. Don't love him the way you want to be loved. Respect him.
Exactly.
That's deep.
He will give you everything that you so desire if you do so.
Now, I have a question. When we talk about respect, because we have been bamboozled as the American women, and that's what I'm going to start saying, because I've been to 9 different countries. My children travel to countries all over. We know the setup of how women and men are treated in different countries. Mm-hmm. We know the breakdown of the families. We've seen it. We've seen when men and women play their roles because of Islam. I can go to countries right now where the man and the woman are in ideally traditional roles from 1,200 years ago. I am not lying. And I see the breakdown of American people's roles and where we've come as America by stealing other people's cultures and then turning it into ours. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, and I can say that at the end of the day, respect is not how we think. Like when we say respect, that means we got to be quiet when you're yelling at us. We sitting in the corner like this. We're going to have to have a whole episode on what respect is from a man's point of view, not ours. Because when you just said that, I said, well, like, what do you mean? Like respect, I respect, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't.
I think what happens is that you said it earlier, obey.
Yeah, that came with that. They did that to us.
You said it earlier, obey. And what we don't realize is that obedience has nothing to do with submission. It is literally respect. Think about it. The example that I was given earlier was dancing. Now I ain't talking about twerking and all that other stuff. I'm talking about some salsa, merengue, or stepping type dancing where couples. Grown
folk dancing.
Yeah.
Grown folks.
That's
dancing. Right, what we do.
When the man is leading or whatnot, you don't see him forcefully pushing her in the direction that he needs her to go.
True.
He's doing subtle movements with his hands. That's the reason why they're holding hands. And she's
completely in sync with him because she chooses to be.
Exactly. You just said it. She chooses to be. You'll never see 2 people on the dance floor dancing and that woman is scared for her doggone life.
That is very true.
And that is what happened with our grandparents and our parents, is that the submission that our women saw was through fear. Not everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Of course.
But a good portion saw it through fear, through the lens of fear, which is the reason why, one of the reasons, fellas, why she won't submit to us.
And if you go back in history around what 1970s is when people started getting liberated. I mean, women were just liberated to vote. So you have to understand when a breakdown of an economical society, that's very, very important that you put the factor in that the woman. One of the main things that happened around that time is that we started voting, so that we started getting voices. So then we started letting women that necessarily didn't have the best interest for us start leading us. And then we started having men start telling us what we're supposed to wear, how we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to feel. And then it just went on from there. At that point, then women started allowing everyone else to come into our homes through television, media, music, and then tell us what type of woman we're supposed to be. That's not even conducive for our homes. A lot of times you want to be something that your home don't even need you to be.
Yep.
You want to be twerk queen festival, fiesta woman of the year. Your house needs you to be a mother. Your home needs you to be a mother, but you want to be Cardi B. It's just so sad.
Yep.
But it's real.
Yep. The thing about it is, it can be such a beautiful thing when it's done right. When you sitting back and you watching somebody dance and you have two people that are in sync, it is one of the
grooving,
beautiful things that you can literally see. But there's an understanding. There's an understanding.
True.
There's communication without words actually being spoken. And how that can be done is that understanding or overstanding of each other.
On the dance floor. And that's such a small example, but it's so significant.
Yeah.
Because you'll let a man lead you on a dance floor, but not in life. So it's cool while it's fun and games, but when it gets serious, you want to do it yourself. But we're failing as a community of women. I'll say it first. I'm a single mother. We're failing. I have 5 children. They're all productive, all successful. I got 3. I can tell the difference. I got 5 with a husband in the home. I got 3 without. It's just what it is.
Yep. And like I was saying earlier, that word obey has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
You have some women that feel like they just simply can't say anything. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because you can say just about anything you want to us, but it's how you actually say it. Is it respectful? You know my triggers.
We know some of our triggers. A woman will flip. We're 2021. Any businesswoman out there, women are hustlers, women entrepreneurs, women out there getting at single women. That's the one thing we won't tolerate, disrespect.
Yep.
And we're women saying
this. And that's
this.
on both ends. That's on both ends. So if it's in our nature to be respected,
on both
you
ends.
know how you feel about being respected.
Mm-hmm.
It's amplified for us. It literally is. But we have to have that understanding. Because there's no words that's being spoken. You know your significant other. You know their triggers. I know right now I can make a phone call to the wifey and I know exactly what to say in order to piss her off.
Listen, my ex-husband knows what to say to piss me off. And we still, he can call me right now. We're separated and been for years. And he can call me and say something about the kids and I'm on them. Like, why did you do that to me this morning? But
so those are the things that we need to understand and stray away from. But we also know those triggers. And if you don't know, then you need to start learning. Those triggers, when you need your man or we need our women to hear what it is that we're saying, we need to pull on those triggers that's going to open up their mind.
Could you imagine if you and your wife were fighting and then all of us, you were in a heated argument, you know what I'm saying? In the midst of that argument, you just grab her hand and just say, listen to me. Listen to me. You know what she gonna do? First of all, she gonna start swinging at you while you're trying to grab her hair. Like, what are you doing? In some scenarios, not with King and them, but in some scenarios, because I'm telling you the truth, she might start backing up like she getting ready to hit him or something because she's not used to that interaction from him. In an aggressive situation like that, that's what starts changing her view on how he's gonna treat her. Yep. If in the midst of it, you stop yourself, don't have us stop you. Because if we're stopping you, that means you're not changing. Stop yourself in the midst of an argument or going in on her, on whatever it is, and just grab her hand and say, let's talk about this. I promise you, maybe 60%. I can say 60. Because, there's still women out there that's been severely hurt, severely tormented, severely battered, severely abused, and it takes them a while. So you can't treat everybody the same.
Nope.
You got to learn your man and your woman. Mm-hmm. And you got to start, like I said, you don't have to be a Cardi B in your home. Be you in your home. Be you in your home.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I see it. So when you say obey, that made me, you see how I had to fix it up? Obey, submit. I'm starting to get high over here. Like, what those words mean? But in actuality, like you said, when you explain it properly, and I don't even think we're done with that because as women, we don't even know what that means. When you say respect, so a woman will come in or a man will come in like this. Let me show you an example. A man's been out all night. He said he was going to come back home 8 or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, like they do. He not coming home till 3 or 4 o'clock. The woman done called him all night long, cussing him out, crying, talking about, come home, please, because that's how we do. Stop playing. I was there. Please come home. Driving in my car while I'm crying for him to come home. I'm just, oh, look, I'm having flashbacks. I'm just joking, y'all. Anyway, crying and that. He comes home, right? How respectful is she supposed to be? After all of this, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of times, a man will put himself in a situation and then scream, "You're not respectful," because she's coming in, she's cussing at him. She's cussing. She's about to, because she's so angry because all night long she's been waiting on this man. He's been ignoring her, obviously, because he knows already. Because on the other end of it, he's only ignoring you not because he don't love you or he don't like you, but he knows he's ready to get it, right? Yep. So there's both sides.
We know.
Yeah, you know it's coming. You know, man, that fourth phone call in a row, that's a wrap.
So I'm going to go with the assumption that he's out there working, not doing nothing he's not supposed to be doing.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
that is.
But you see how I already assume, because it's past behaviors of men that I already assumed. Again, that's not fair.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna address it on both sides, and then after that we're gonna have to pay some bills.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, you paying the bills to us, and I gotta say, lady, you better take some money off of that.
But when it comes down to if he's out there, he's working, he's putting in those extra hours to be able to provide for the house. That is one thing. You know, when he comes in the house, I would hope that ride home, he gives her a call and let her know that he's on his way home. If not,
would that be any hour? If you already know you're in trouble, is it common for a man to do that, to think like that? Let me give her a call, even though it's 4:30, and I'm praying she's asleep still, because that's what y'all hoping.
You know, the way technology is, a text message, a phone call. You know, it's so many things that actually can be done.
True.
You know what I'm saying, to kind of ease the mind before you even walk in there. But what happens is a lot of times we already know it's going to go up. We already know it's going to go up. So guess what we're doing? We didn't even think about shooting a text or making a phone call. We're trying to brace ourselves for the onslaught that we're about to encounter. And
she knows she want to give it because she's so angry and hurt because her real issues aren't being met. So she just want to combat you at the fact you're not coming in at 4, but there's really other things going on. Again, if you don't know what's going on in yourself, women, ladies, there's a lot of pH balances could go on. There's a lot of things that go on with this.
And we already know that that comes with some insecurities.
True.
It comes with some insecurities. Well. Somebody did something that put you in that state of mind to have you thinking that way. But we're trying to brace ourselves for that onslaught. Quite frankly, we prefer that onslaught than for us to come home and everything's cool. Because, you know, that thin line between love and hate, that song.
That's that ooh.
That's real. We be thinking about that like, hold on. She got a plate right here. Let me check this.
As a man, and can we speak on this when we come back? When's enough enough? When do you look at your woman and say, I can't do this no more. I'm not coming in at 4:30. I'm not stressing this woman out no more. But usually by then, though, the woman's halfway gone anyway. Yep. I mean, when y'all do that point. But let's talk about that.
So on the flip side, okay, I'm gonna address that real quick, and then I'm gonna come back to what you're asking. That man that's out there doing some dumb stuff. The question is, what type of respect has he shown you? Because you get what you put out. It's as simple as that. If you're being disrespectful to your woman in that manner, then you can't expect that not to be reciprocated. You get what you put out. Whatever you put out into the universe, you're going to get it back, sometimes quicker than others. So you need to be happy that she's going off and just not caring altogether, because once she stopped caring,
yeah, that's a wrap.
Something else to deal with.
And then before we break, we have to realize as women too, the disrespect also funnels down to the children, and it will be in your home. So you think it's cute being disrespectful for your man and being disrespectful to your husband and all of this. And I'm not talking about to the man down the street that keeps hitting on you or the man at the corner store. No. I'm talking about someone who has those rights that you allowed to put over yourself for him. And he allowed to put over himself for you. You guys allowed this. So when you're in that type of situation, women, if you're disrespectful and mouth, your children are going to be the same way. I promise this.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise. So your home will have no harmony, and you think you didn't have no control over that, but you do. A single woman can go into her own house, and I can control that whole atmosphere instantly. When I pick my kids up and we open that door, if I'm nasty and mean or I'm stressed out, you can feel it. If we open the door and the kids are and I'm happy, everything's happy. I promise.
Yep.
So it does. It starts with it starts with us as well. I'm just talking about how we treat each other.
I can't wait to talk about that when we get back. Hey, look, we about to take a 5 minute.
Oh Lord!
break.
Oh Lord!
We about to take a 5 minute break. Go pay some bills, and then we'll be back. All right. The king is spoken. We'll be right back. And we are back.
We are.
So, if you're just joining us, the topic of discussion today is why she won't submit. And we understand that whenever we start talking about submission, it is an ugly word. The definitions for it have been skewed. When the reality of it is, it comes natural to both men and women. We submit constantly throughout the day. And I think one of the issues that we have when it comes to submission is that we as men have used it as a form of control, and we were wrong for that. Which is the reason why I started out saying that we don't have the best track record when it comes down to this. But on the flip side, again, what we need you as ladies to understand is that submission has nothing to do with being obedient or us wanting to control you. It deals directly with your ability to respect us. So
I think that's powerful because a lot of times as women, through media and what we've been taught through our parents, because remember, a lot of us grew up during the era where we just now was getting independence. We just now were becoming free. And so what happened was, I think that our mothers and our grandmothers and everybody was waiting so long for this to take place. It was such an epiphany. It was so serious that everybody went so far left with it. And there was this whole war on being a woman on us. Like anything feminine, it was like, oh my God, you still want to cook and love your husband? You're a horrible person, or you're just at home with 5 kids raising them. Oh my God, what else do you do? What else do I do? You understand? This is serious. This we because of society and a lot of other women took the agenda of liberation, self-liberation, women liberation, and we got bamboozled with it. I don't care what no one says. I'll say it myself. Anytime where, you know what I mean, you got the men feeling like it's okay that you're out there pushing snow off your windows or doing your own flat tire because don't nobody want to help us because we got so much mouth when they do. Or they might pull up and, he might do one thing wrong and, it could go all wrong for him. Because, again, a lot of times as women, we're not always dealing with integrity. We're not always dealing with the best either when we're dealing with men. So there's a lot of times, you all have tried to help out women, I'm sure, and got the raw end of the stick.
Rightfully so, because the reality of the situation is that most times you're angry because of the burden that we have placed on you and the simple fact that you're out of place and we're out of place. It's literally what it boils down to. We are out of place.
Frustration, because the system does not work for us. This does not work. And I'm just going to say it, and it's not that I want to say brown and black families or white families. The system don't work for us in these lower income communities.
At all.
But it wasn't made to work for us. The breakdown of the family was. That's why a woman will do better without a man on food stamps, housing, and Medicaid than she will a lot of times if the man's in the house because they're pulling both incomes. You see that?
Yeah.
There's a breakdown. There's even a tax racket difference when the man is in the home and when he isn't.
Yeah.
So
and
they
you
know.
think about it when it comes down to submission, the vast majority of the examples that we have are through fear. Think about it like this, right? When you go to a job, you're submitting to your boss. And most times you're submitting to your boss because you're afraid that if you don't, you're going to lose that job and that income that's coming in. The police. Submit to the police all the time. And especially in this day and age.
First of all, police ain't even around. And I'm like, son, if the police come around, I mean, we in here enforcing stuff that is ridiculous.
Yep. Especially in this day and age, not knowing whether your life is going to be taken, you submit out of fear. I mean, you can look at just how they tell us we need to operate and function with the police and know that it's being done out of fear.
Completely.
All the examples that we have to be able to show where both men and women submit, it is done out of fear. When the reality of it is respect when it comes to us, and it is love when it comes to y'all. When we are submitting ourselves unto you women, it is out of love. Literally. And it is nothing wrong with it. We got to bring back the beauty of that dance of our relationship. We have to bring it back. Sorry to say, ladies, I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear it. Being able to submit plays a big role. And for us men, we got to stop beating on our chest. Because I'm telling you, and I'm going to keep saying it, if you beating on your chest, walking around talking about you're the man, 10 times out of 10, you're not.
So I have a question. Is respect different within each man? Because love is different for each woman. My closest friend doesn't need the same love as I do. And I can tell at her and tell. Like, she needs a whole different type of love. I don't need that. I need a certain else. So for men, is that the same with respect?
I would say that there's a core base for that is underlined for all men, but as it branches out.
What's the core base of respect for a man? A value, just value what you do at what it is, or a core. Like, I'm really, as a woman, I'm not trying to sound silly. I really want to understand, because we have so many misunderstandings of what this really means. So
the first thing that I'm gonna say is, out of the gate, respect my manhood. If you can understand what that means, respect what it is that I actually
the things that
do.
make you a man.
The things that make me a man. The same way that we should be loving what makes you a woman. That's one of the core values right there. Respect our manhood. The same way we should be respecting and loving your womanhood.
That's powerful.
That's part of the core right there.
Yeah.
I have to love the fact every ounce of what makes you a woman, from
the
everything.
Emotional once a month situation, you gotta love it, all the way to the she's over here and she might snap at that next woman that keeps looking at her, but it's not because or looking at him, but it's, again, if a man understands, that's her protecting her queendom. She protects her queendom. So you gotta love her at that aspect, and then you gotta love her at that aspect. You don't understand it, but she does.
For me, I think one of the glorious and most beautiful time when it comes with a woman is when she is pregnant. That glow that y'all get, man, I love it. There's nothing like it.
More pure. There's nothing more pure on this earth. Nothing more pure than I
that glow. But it's being able to respect the manhood, being able to love the womanhood. That is literally the core basis. Respect the fact that I get up and I go out here and I fight outside of this home for us. Not for me, but for us, for this household, for this family. Have enough respect. And ladies, I that whole ride or die, y'all need to fall back with that.
I know that's right. One more time for those in the back. Do y'all hear what he just said?
That ride or die, y'all need to fall back.
Ridiculous.
Because one thing that I will say, that there is nothing more I ain't gonna say nothing more, but one of the most disrespectful things that you can do is get in between a man when there's a physical altercation that's about to take place.
Really? Even if you know your man might not win, you still don't get in the middle of it.
You better let me take that L. You better let me take that
She was
L.
looking like I was just trying to help him out. I knew that
Let
dude
me
was
take
like
it.
10 times
Let me take it like a man. For
Wow.
real.
Now listen, that's
but
really
even-
deep that you're saying that, because when you're looking at some of these men out here, he's like, my bitch better go as hard as I do. She better grab that gun and sweep it like I do. She better hit that like I do. Like,
No.
do you want a homie or
No.
do you want a woman,
No.
a lady? Like, you want us to do rough and rider stuff, but then you want me to be what is that? What's her that went to jail with Snoop Dogg? What's that white woman that went to jail with Snoop Dogg?
I do not know. I know. I see
You know
her
what I'm
face,
saying?
but I know.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about.
They
I
want
just
us to
can't
be
remember
like
her
her, Betty Crocker. You know what I'm saying? You want me to be, be the hood, and then you want me to be
No.
Betty Crocker. It's we can't jump in and out like that either.
name. No, that's the word. One, we are. It is in our nature, and it's our job to protect you. So now that you jumped in front of me, you've directly put yourself in harm's way. Because now, matter of fact, me and my friends, we was having a conversation about this over the weekend. Now, if something happens to you, I got to kill everybody. I do.
He said, "I just did." I know that's right.
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart. Thank you guys. I was saying we just us together.
That is the time that we need y'all
Martha
to
Stewart.
really fall back. And I know, you know what I'm saying, that a lot of people see it as, oh man, I'm fighting with my man. No, let me take that L. If I took that L, no, you better not look at me differently because I took that L for you.
Okay. So again, okay, we won't. And if you're good enough on your answer, you'll be, take care of them and all that stuff. But so in all actuality, all these rap songs, now this is significant, y'all, because this is what I'm telling you. Like Cardi B said, she said, I'll make the songs, y'all can listen to them, but my daughter ain't listening to it. So again, this is another example of how they're going to push an agenda that a man don't even really want, or a woman. And they tell us this is how it is. So you're telling me that you don't want me to jump in with the gangbang and go in the blood blazing and go out
It can be me against 10 other people. You better get out of the way to safety and let me take that L.
Wow. I think that's really, that was a lot for today for me.
Matter of fact, if you want to do something or not, just go ahead and call either. I don't want you to call police because I might get shot. But call the ambulance. Call the ambulance or whatnot, because either I'm going to need it or they going to need it. One or the other. But, and really, somebody just said something about pride and ego. That plays a part. That plays a part. But the bigger issue is our ability to be able to protect you. Protect you. Literally. Especially I'm literally, and there's a lot of men out here that's like that when it comes to me, to women. When we walking down the street, there's a certain side that I need you to be on. When we are laying in the bed, there's a certain side that I need you to be on. When we're walking down the street, and I see it all the time and get upset. If I see the woman walking on the side where the cars are at, I'm upset. Because as a man, it is my job to make sure that I'm in position to be able to protect you at all times.
Where does that go? Where does that go for all these men out here that ain't feeling this? Did it become numb? Were you all made not to like us no more? I mean, what happened? I mean, I believe that the water, I believe that the media, and I believe that a lot of the environment around is changing. Genetically, how we're dealing with each other, as well as men and women. I believe that has a lot to do with stuff. Look into the water system and fluoride and how deep that stuff goes. You understand what I'm talking about, economically and physically and emotionally, and what's going on right now, energy wise. It's really it's towards the breakdown of the family as well. But when I'm saying that, where do we start with this? That's what I'm saying as a starting ground. So, like you just said, you're taking a scenario. Where that's really significant. You're saying, I don't want a woman to jump in with me, and that's at this point in the game, these young girls are thinking he wants me to be his ride and die. That means I got a gun just like him. Like, y'all got a baby on the way and she's out here toting a gun around, and she's 17. This is real talk.
I'm gonna tell you now.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna put it to you just like this. I'm gonna make sure I look into the camera with this, right?
Stiff mission up, getting all hype.
If something of that situation happens and you don't do it, you don't jump in, you don't help, and the first thing your man says is, "Why didn't you help me?" It's because he was afraid. It's because he was afraid.
Okay.
And literally, that is part of the reason why we have so much gunplay out here, because so many people are afraid to be able to take that L and let their hands flow. As men, this is something that's...
I'm about to say
Intentions are to kill you now.
Yeah, it's a different time. That's why I said, a lot of times it's hard for a woman to know her role, because and that's the society. The roles are changing.
Yeah.
The roles are changing. What we asked of men and what we need from men hasn't changed, but the way we're looking at it is. The way we're dealing it. But the core, we need you to be this and you all need us to be this, hasn't changed. We all have changed around it. And that's why we're sick and lost. That's how I feel.
No, yeah. Your feelings is exactly on point. They're exactly on par, because that's literally what it is. Things have changed. We have changed. And that is the reason why we're having these conversations. I'm going to tell you something that I talked about this weekend or whatnot, and I'm going to put it out there because, one, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. All right? So I have no issue with putting it out there. I'm looking at starting a rite of passage for us men.
Nice.
Rite of passage. We're gonna start. Nothing that I do starts out small. I'm gonna tell you that now. But I'm gonna make sure that it's smaller than what I would normally do. All right, and I want to grow it. I want to grow it to the point where I know the first couple that I want to do, I want to have 17 and up, because the vast majority of us men haven't went through a rite of passage ceremony at all. So I want to start with 17 and up, and once we have covered all of us as men that are within that age range, then every year our 17-year-olds we have a rite of passage for them. Mm-hmm. But prior to that rite of passage or whatnot, we take them off for a week somewhere and literally give the final pieces that they need in order to be able to walk into their manhood. Because a lot of this stuff that we are talking about is taught.
Let me tell you the deep thing, what you're talking about. The reason why they had a lot of tribal ceremonies was because it opened up something inside of the boy, inside of the man, the hunt. A lot of times that we look back at our ancestors, they did significant things that we thought that they played out as ritual, they played out in cartoons as games. You understand? You look in Disney, a lot of that stuff is real, those rites of passages for our ethnicities, but they made it into cartoons and games. No, there's a reason why a man has to be hunting at 16 or 17. There's something that incites in him that has to go through the physical changes at a certain age, a rite of passage. There's so many things we don't understand. Why our ancestors and why our people did what they did, and we were made to make fun of it and joke about it.
Yeah, and it happens.
And they ripped us from it. We used to have quinceañeras through our communities like rampant. We barely have them no more. That's insane. A woman rite of passage at 15 to 16, where she can run a home. And we celebrating it because, again, that's the keeping of the family intact. And I'm not saying at 16, 17 become married. I'm saying we're acknowledging she's now coming into society as a woman, and she's got roles and responsibilities now that we as her family put on her.
Yep.
And we allowed other people to take that from us. They think it's in a cartoon now. And Sophia the Great. You got a white little girl telling us about a quinceañera on Sophia the Great. A Mexican girl. Not exactly, King. Don't get me started. I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying?
But this is the reason why we're here. This is the reason why we're doing this stuff, so we can change the narrative. We can change the narrative. We have to change the narrative. And when I say change the narrative, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, even though it deals with our ancestors, our grandparents, parents, and things of that particular nature, it's about grabbing those things that work for them and bringing it into our time and adjusting it so that it will work for us. Which is the reason why when I talk about the man being the sole provider, I'm not saying that women can't work. What I'm saying is that man needs to be able to take that burden off of your shoulders. Make it an option. If you want to, by all means. But it shouldn't be a requirement. It shouldn't be a requirement at all. And that's a standard that we had that we need to bring back forward. Our ability to your ability to submit, our ability to lead. That's all stuff that we need to pull back into this generation and figure out how to make it to where it will work for us.
And King, when you say that, I want to make something clear. We're not asking to go back into 1960s.
No.
We're not there. We already know what we're using examples because it's easier for people to follow. What I'm saying is, don't rip off of our and don't become. The thing about it is knowledgeable. Become knowledgeable and submit.
Mm-hmm.
Become knowledgeable and submit, because then you're submitting with a purpose. Right now, if you're telling a woman to submit and there's no reason why, a lot of women, just because of how we're made up, we don't like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have reason. We have to have structure. We have to have stability. If there's a purpose, I'm submitting with a purpose. Okay, that's different. Knowledge with submission, again, is purpose. What I'm saying is that we're not asking you to go back to 1950, 1960, no. But you take the things that held our community strong together for thousands of years, and you apply it to now. Have a quinceañera and play all the 2021 music you want to, but we're intact. Yeah. The event is intact. The rite of passage is intact for our community. We still have that intact. I'm not saying go back to 1960s, 40s. I'm saying bring that stuff up to date, but apply it to our communities, because we're being ripped off.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Apply it to our communities. So, and we got all these other people telling us how to be Mexican and how to be, what songs we. It's on cartoons, and like I said, they took our ancestors, they took our culture, and they put us on TV as cartoons.
Yeah.
So, in saying all of that, that part.
So, I'm going to leave off on that strong
I'm
note.
sorry, guys. I done took over Cake Show.
No.
See what happens when a woman wear the crown for today?
No. But we need to go ahead and pay some bills. We'll come back with the king and the queen's final thoughts, and we'll make room for the Coffee and Cream morning show.
Coming up next.
We'll be right back. The king is spoken. And we are back. So it has been great having this discussion. My apologies to everybody that's in the chat right now. I didn't get a chance to do any responses to them whatsoever. But what I will tell you is this. Go to King Nash Court on Facebook. We're going to continue the conversation inside there. Matter of fact, I already got a post up ready for y'all. Already ready for y'all. But we're going to be talking about this all week, because it's not one of those subjects that we can just talk about it for 2 hours and then think we're done with it, because as you can see, it's going to lead into several other things. But in reference to submission, again, it has nothing to do with being obedient. It has everything to do with respect. And how we as men view love, it is through respect. The more respect that you show to us, the more love we know we are getting from you. All right? And for us men, and look, submission has nothing to do with obedience. We shouldn't be around here beating on our chest talking about we the man. Because, again, if you got to do that, you're not the man. Your presence alone should be more than enough. When you look at submission, especially when it comes down to us grown folks dancing, it's beautiful. You don't see that woman, like I said, that man pushing that woman around, forcing her to do what it is that he needs to be done. These subtle movements, and she knows exactly what needs to be done. And we got to get back to that point. But again, we're going to keep the conversation going on Thursday, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you are there. Again, I need y'all to go like, share, and follow the frequency. Like, share, follow the frequency. If you haven't already, Can I Be the Man? A letter from us to you. It's been out for over a week now. Big shout out to everybody that's already purchased the book. I've been getting a lot of feedback. I love it. I love every last bit of it. But we're going to keep this thing going. I got to get out of the way. The King's Court is officially out of session. We making room for the Coffee and Cream morning show. The King is spoken. We out, baby.